Good afternoon. I'm going to discuss today the topic basic math of investment. Um, we will be considering in this video uh, two ideas. The first is the idea of simple interest, and the second is the compound interest. What is the difference between the two? The simple interest actually is that uh, scheme, no? Whenever you invest something or maybe you borrow something in which um, you will be earning in your investment an interest to the amount that you have invested. Okay. Um, for example, you invest an amount of money at a certain bank, and the bank informed you that you will earn what we call simple interest on the invested amount. What do you mean by that? It means that when the interest is computed, only the initial invested value will be considered. In other words, in simple interest, you will not earn any interest on the interest that you have earned from your initial amount. Okay? So that's for simple interest. Um, in simple interest, we uh, consider only three things here. No, the simple interest is dependent on three things. The first one is the initial value, which we will denote no, in this discussion by P, initial, or that's actually called as principal amount or principal value. The second one is the interest rate, or R. And the third one is the number of years or the time, which we denote by T. Okay. And these three quantities um, is related to what we call the interest earned. Okay, when you invest something, and this is what we call the simple interest formula, and this is given by I. That's our notation for the interest earned equals P R T, or P times R times T, where P is the principal amount or initial value, R is the rate of interest, and T is the time. Now, if you are interested to determine the total amount, okay, that means that you want to know what is the total money you have, no, after a certain time T, okay, when P is being invested, then that means that you only need to add the principal amount, KP, to the interest earned, okay, after T time. That's why another formula here is for the future value, or for the total amount, okay, which is given by S. That's our notation for the total amount or future value, okay, S equals principal amount plus interest earned, okay. Now, let's consider some examples to illustrate this idea, okay. Our first problem here says that John borrows 50,000 pesos for 5 years at a simple interest rate of 20% per year. So we're going to answer two questions. The first question is, how much interest must he pay? And the second question is, what is the total amount that must be repaid? Okay. To answer these questions, first let's identify the given value, no, from the problem. Okay. First is, what is this 50,000? Okay. This is actually your principal amount, or the initial value, which we denote by P. So your P is 50,000. And what is this? 5 years. That's what we call the time, no, or T. And the 20% here is your R, or the rate of interest. It should be written in decimal form. Okay. So we have P equals 50,000, R 0.20, the decimal form of 20%, and P equals 5. Then substituting that to our first formula, okay, we're going to use this one, I equals PRT, because we're asked here to find for the interest, okay, that John is going to pay for the money he borrowed. Okay, so we're going to use this formula. Okay, I equals PRT, and we substitute those given to that formula. So we have this, I equals 50,000, that's P, 0.20, which is R, and T is your time. Okay, and then using our calculator, we compute for interest. This is equal to 50,000. Okay, so that means that John should pay 50,000, no, for the amount he borrowed. Okay, after 5 years. That's only for the interest. Now, second question is, what is the total amount that must be repaid? That means that he's going to pay this 50,000 that he borrowed plus the interest of that amount, no, that he borrowed. Okay, which we computed here to be 50,000. Okay, so to answer the second question, what is the total amount that must be repaid? We're going to use this formula, right? Okay, S equals P plus I. And that means that substituting the P, which is 50,000, plus I, which is also 50,000, obtained from our computation, letter A, we have S equals 50,000 plus 50,000. And adding this, we obtain 100,000. So that's the amount that John is going to pay, you know, after 5 years, 100,000.